Let's try that again. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's been a little bit of a while. Um, had a little busy time. The last 2 weeks in March and the first 2 weeks in April are always very busy for me. The first thing that we have to deal with is New York State sales tax, which you only have like a 20-day period in which to get them done from the time that you have to finish your year out. So they have to be done by March 20th. Done and in. Got that done. And then of course there's the federal taxes that we have to do. That was done by April 15th. Had to get an extension because I have to get some paperwork together. Everything else is done. And I had, probably several hundred photographs that I wanted to get edited and culled. I think I took at least 200 photos at the Petrified Forest, and that'll be coming up a little bit, and they all had to be edited and culled, and it was a beautiful day to do it, so I have a lot of really beautiful photographs. And then it was traveling and getting here. As you can see, this is a very different look than the last time we met. We're back in New York. Won't say where exactly, but we're back in New York. And so now now that we have everything done, taxes, paperwork, all that good stuff, we are ready to go and get some work done on some videos. And there's quite a few that are coming that I have raw, like I promised you in the last video. There's quite a few that I have raw that I need to edit. But I'm thinking that from now on, for the rest of the summer, we're going to be busy catching up, and hopefully I will have a lot of really good stuff to really show you from up here in and around this area. A lot of little places that a lot of like YouTubers and nomads don't really know about. So I should probably get you caught up on where we've been for the last 5 or so weeks. To start with, I'd really love to tell you about my travel to get at least even halfway here. I left Quartzsite on March 11th in the morning, and I will show you some footage, just a little brief snippets of footage from the morning that we left. It was the 11th of March, and drove down to Yuma and was there for a few days. I had to stock up and get some bills paid, and I wanted to pay my AT&T bill a couple of months ahead. It was a cute little spot that I've stayed at a few times. Not that many people. There was quite a few people, but not as many as a couple of the other spots around Yuma that I've stayed at. So we got going on March 16th and headed out. We headed east on Route 10. One of the good things on my bucket list was to see Tombstone. And of course everybody that I talked to said that if you're going to go see Tombstone, you have to see Bisbee as well. And so that was on my list of things to do. So when I drove east, I had to go east anyway. I drove to Tombstone, found a really nice place, the Coronado National Forest, which is a 14-day free camping. And there was it's 12 miles out of Tombstone. You can, about halfway in, you can see Tombstone. It's not that far, but the road is extremely washboardy. And it's funny because about halfway in, I wasn't sure I was even going in the right direction, and I may be the only person who stops a Border Patrol guy to ask directions, but I did. He was very nice. He told me to keep going, and I I kept going, and about almost there, he pulled up alongside of me, and he told me, he says, just follow me and I'll show you where it is. Very nice man, very nice man. And so we found a site, did some photography, absolutely beautiful, beautiful photography. Probably some of the best photos that I've taken ever of landscape shots. And I may throw one or two in here. And but I do have to say, the road was so washboardy that everything in the van shifted. Literally everything I had in the van shifted. So I took the rest of the next day, I had to move everything around, back into place, take everything out of the cabinets. It was an ordeal, to say the least. So the next day, I wanted to just kind of get my feel, because I really did want to see Tombstone, and I wanted to find out where Bisbee was. Bisbee's actually only about 20 miles south of Tombstone, on the same road. So I did a couple. I drove through Bisbee, drove around the town of Bisbee, got lost at first, and I do have footage on the road that I was on. It was interesting, to say the least. It was very beautiful, but there were some places that it was a little hairy for somebody who's driven on a lot of roads. That was a little. It took my breath away in a couple places. But I did eventually find the town, drove through the town, and then on my way back up, I took a little drive through Tombstone, and I was gonna go, wait and come back the next day and do one on one day and one on the next day. But the weather forecast for that area was not good, and it was not looking really good. That night, I think it went down to like 28 inside the van. So it was a little chilly. It was probably the coldest night I had. And so we decided we probably should start heading back, because the weather forecast for the next few days was going to be pretty crappy, to be honest. So I drove north, started the drive north from Tucson, and it's close to 300 miles from Tucson north to Route 40 in Holbrook, which is where I was going to connect with Route 40. And once you get out of Tucson, it's beautiful. The road is absolutely stunning, and I do have video from that first half of that road. Absolutely gorgeous. Another bunch of whole beautiful, beautiful photography that I had to edit, and again, some of my best photography that I've done. But at some point, about the halfway point before you get to Holbrook, the road comes to a T, and you can either go right, and I'm not quite sure where that road takes you, or you can go left. Well, to get to Holbrook, you had to go left. And let's just put it this way, it was the most beautiful road I think I've ever been on in my entire life. But it was probably the scariest road I've ever been on in my entire life. The area between Globe and Show Low, I think it is. Picture yourself driving through Monument Valley, and you're driving alongside of a cliff. And I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Very typical Arizona, very classic Arizona, with the cliffs and the red rocks, and the sun was almost perfect. But like I said, it was probably the scariest road I've ever driven on in my entire life, and I've driven on a lot of roads. It's a 2-lane road. There are lots of passing lanes where you can kind of pull over and let the cars go behind you. But and there are places where you can pull off and again let cars go behind you, or you can stop and take photographs, whichever you please. But it's sheer cliff on one side and sheer cliff of rocks on the other side going up. And the only thing that is keeping you from that sheer cliff is like a 3-foot guardrail. And I mean, that would be fine if that's the way it was. But there's also hairpin turns. And in places there's 6, 7, 8% grades. And like I said, I was white knuckling it, and I did not photograph that second part. And I was lucky I got behind a trucker who was going probably 20 miles an hour at best. He was probably terrified out of his head too, in a semi-truck. And yes, semi-trucks do travel on that road. And at one point, I'm looking ahead and I see these trucks going up this hill, and I'm like thinking, oh, that's another road that must connect. No, that's the road that you have to go on. That's, you know, like I said. So by the time I got to Holbrook, I'm like thinking, this is a one and done. I will never do this again. And pulled over in a truck stop parking lot and slept the entire night. Now that I think about it, though, you know, now that I know what to expect, I might be convinced to do it again with a dashboard cam on. There's no way that I am taking both hands off of the steering wheel. There's just no way. There's no room for error on that road. It's really, really a tight drive. Not to mention that you got people who are familiar with that road that are going by you at 55 miles an hour. So, like I said, it was absolutely beautiful, but I'm not sure if it might just be a one and done. So the next morning, Holbrook is not that far from the Petrified Forest, which I really wanted to see. I had been through it in 86 or 87 when I went west, 100 years ago. And I was debating, should I do it, should I just check it out and then find a place to camp that night and then do it the next day? Or should I just go ahead and do it? And I decided to go ahead and just go through it and do it. And probably got close to 300 photos. Absolutely gorgeous, and I'll probably put some of them in here too. And it was a good thing I did it that day, because the next day when I started heading east on Route 40, it started out really nice, but the wind started picking up. You know, in New Mexico was really beautiful. But once I got to Texas, the wind started picking up. And it was a pretty bumpy ride. It was banging from the side. The wind was hitting from the side, which when you're driving a high-profile vehicle, it's all you can do to keep the vehicle on the road. And I got as far as Amarillo and pulled into the Walmart in Amarillo, which I'd spent the night in on the way west. It's a very nice Walmart, and they do have accommodations for people who are spending the night. And of course I did shopping in there. I like to shop. If I'm gonna stop at a Walmart, I like to shop. And spent the night there, and everything was cool. And so then we started the next part of our trek east. And from Amarillo, you go east through Oklahoma, and let's just say Oklahoma, the wind, that as bad as the wind was on my trip through Texas, it was really bad. I think I heard on the weather that it was like 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and again, they're hitting from the side. By the time I got to Oklahoma City, it was rush hour, nighttime or afternoon, evening rush hour, and I'm doing like at the most 30 miles an hour, just trying to keep the van on the road. And I have to say, most of the people that I was traveling with were very kind, and if I wanted to pull over, pull into a lane, they were really good about that, and they let me do it. I did have three truckers go by. That one was okay, two blew their horns like they were not happy horn blowers. And then some little guy in a pissant open Jeep went by, again blowing his horn and probably giving me dirty looks. But I think I would rather go slow and try to keep the van on the road rather than end up in an accident. So to those three truckers, I have this much to say to you guys. When and if you ever come to the Adirondacks and you're driving in inclement weather, in whiteout conditions, I hope that the locals are as nice to you as you were to me. Because, let's be patient with people and understand that not everybody is used to driving in conditions that are tricky and you're not used to. So that leg ended, and again, I think it was a rest area I stopped at, and then we turned north into Arkansas, and again the winds were just awful. We got to one point where the winds were so bad, it was blowing dust so bad that you could barely see, and there were a lineup of cop cars along the side with their lights going, just to be there in case there was a problem. I almost pulled over and stopped, but it was something I could get through. Again, going, walking through it. I wasn't going very fast. I was just walking through it. I'm definitely not used to driving in conditions with wind gusts going at you at 60 miles an hour and dust so bad that you can barely see the road. But we did. We made it up to Fredericktown, which is where Johnny is. She's the owner of Midwest Van Builders. And we went up there, and I made arrangements to have her put some solar panels on the roof. And we had a bit of a delay in that, so I was there for about 3.5 weeks. A little longer than I was hoping to, but the delay couldn't be helped. So in the meantime, I helped her out by cleaning up her yard and doing some, cleaning up the brush and raking, and it kept me busy. But eventually we got that done, and they did a really good job. It really looks good. We did plug in my power station. I have 3 watts, or three solar panels, 200 watts each, on the roof. But it turns out that my power station is not big enough to handle all three solar panels. So we unhooked one, and it still didn't work. And she tried her Blue Eddy on it, and her Blue Eddy worked with all 3 panels. So we unplugged the second one, and it works. And I told her, I said, as long as I know the solar panels are working, so right now it's only hooked up to one. When I get another power station, we can hook all 3 up. So we'll be good. And then we drove here, and it took another 3 days to get here. I didn't drive. Yeah, I did. I did drive more than I really wanted to, 8 to 10 hour days. But I had to get home for some business that I have to take care of. So that was our last 5 or 6 weeks, which we packed a lot into it. And we got here, got everything done. So this is where we're at. As you can see, the sun is setting. This is an absolutely beautiful area. Hopefully the weather is going to warm up. It's been a bit chilly here for this time of year. But I think we're all set to go. I'm caught up. I have my store caught up completely. My Zazzle Store got that all completely. Got all my social media caught up and revamped. And got all my books done. My bookwork and bookkeeping, that's all done. So I think we're good to go. So we're ready to start getting caught up on all the video. And there's a lot of it. To be honest, there's a lot of it. One of the nomads that I follow, she was laughing because she was so far behind on hers. Mine's pretty far behind too. So I'm hoping that we can start getting some of this out. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up and kind of catch you up on where we are. And this is where we are. So thank you. I appreciate you tagging along. It's been really fun. The Southwest is really fun, and it's very interesting. I am really impressed with what I saw in Arizona. I didn't get to see nothing of New Mexico except for Route 40 going across. So that may be this fall, we may concentrate on New Mexico. Did get a couple of little incursions into California. Really, really cool places in California. And did get to meet one of my aunts that I didn't know. That she's like 4 years older than I am. So it was a fun trip. It was really cool. I learned a lot, and I'll probably go into how much I learned. But again, so thank you. I really appreciate you tagging along. Hey gang, this is March 30th, 2025. We are here in Missouri at Johnny's Midwest Van Builders, waiting to get some solar panels on. And the weather turned a little ugly. They were calling for heavy rain showers today. The first real heavy rainstorm I've seen since we left here last fall. We had a couple little brief shower storms, but nothing like this. This is pretty intense right now. Let me give you a little peek. Little different going through this in a house than it is in a van. Trying to get some lightning strikes for you because they're pretty intense right now. supposed to cause the weather is supposed to get much colder here after today. Don't know if you can hear that thunder or not, but she's rolling pretty good. It was funny when we were kids and we would get scared of the thunder. Our parents used to say, that's just Rip Van Winkle bowling. Funny the things you remember.